Vaishnava Vrinda ki Shri Shri Gauratai ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai Gaur Premanandi. It's always nice for the Sunday program that the topic is on the introductory side because there's often new people. So how many are in the category of new people here this evening? So if I ask, who is this picture, and I just call on one of you, you'll all know who this is, right? Anyone that doesn't know who this is? You don't know? Okay. You knew who was Lord Chaitanya, right? There he is. Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Lord Chaitanya's name directly is not mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. He's not mentioned for a variety of reasons, one of them being that he's called Chana avatar, or the hidden form of the Lord who appears in Kali Yuga, specifically delivering the Yuga Dharma, the primary means of achieving spiritual perfection for our present age. Don't worry about me, I can see fine. I like this. More contrast, the better. No. Thank you very much. Let's do this. There's a very nice verse amongst many nice verses in Brahma Samhita that describes the position of Goloka. Goloka namni nijadamni tale chatasya devi maheshu haridama suteshu teshu te te prabhava niyatashvi yatashayena Govindamadi Purusham Amaham Bhajami. The abode, the transcendental realm of Krishna is Goloka, Goloka Namni, Nijadamni Tale Chatasha, and the next line is, according to Bhakti Siddhanta, is Lord Brahma looking up, because the realm that Lord Brahma is situated, the chief engineer or creator of the universe, is within Devi Dham, the topmost region of Devi Dham. So Devi Dham is mentioned first. That's this universe with 7 coverings, each covering 10 times greater than the previous one, and the first one is 10 times the diameter of the universe. It's a big shell of the universe. And then outside that shell of the universe and the interior of the universe is Mahesh Dham. Above Devi Dham is Mahesh Dham, the abode of Lord Shiva. And that's Shivaloka or Mahesh Dham. And so it's neither in the material world nor is it in Haridham, it's in between, because that's the next realm, Haridham, the abode of Hari, or Narayana, the Lord of Vaikuntha. And above that, according to Brahma Samhita, is Goloka. And in the earlier portion of Brahma Samhita, it describes the divisions of Goloka, and there's 4. Goloka is shaped like a lotus. And in the center of the lotus, the whirl of the lotus, that's the abode of Radha Krishna. And then there's the petals from that whirl, or the corolla. And those petals are the abodes of the gopis, and in turn the other associates of Krishna, and megabytes of abodes of the associates of Krishna. And then there's a region outside that. In the language of Brahma Samhita, it's a quadrangular region. Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. The Chaturvyuha have their abode, and their regions are Mathura and Dwarka, so that's 3. Vrindavan, that's the central lotus, and Mathura and Dwarka, and they're in the outer region. It's not lesser, it's just a different division. And then there's Svetadweep. Literally, Svetadweep means white island, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains, especially those last 2 long special metered verses, describe the abode of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Goloka. So let's do that again. In Goloka, there's Krishna in Vrindavan, Krishna in Mathura, Krishna in Dwarka, and Gauranga Mahaprabhu in Svetadweep, that region of Goloka. That's where Mahaprabhu's eternal abode is, where his eternal pastimes are going on. And once in the day of Brahma, as Krishna descends, that same day of Brahma, in the next Kali Yuga following Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descends. And that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. He's not an avatar of Krishna, he's Krishna. How does that work? Works this way. When we have a form of Krishna and Radha next to Krishna, it's 2 forms. However, in the language of Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's one entity eternally manifest in 2 forms, just like the sun and the sunshine. Do you ever find one without the other? No. Similarly, you don't find Radha without Krishna, or Shaktiman and Shakti separate from one another. It's one entity. The energetic and the energy. It's one entity. Eternally, they're manifest as 2 forms. Radha Krishna, Pranaya Vikritir Ladani Shakti Rasmat, Ekatmanavapi Bhuvi Pura Deha Beda Gatau Tau. One entity in 2 forms manifest like that eternally. And when that one entity manifests in one form, that's Gauranga Mahaprabhu. In the bhava, or the mood of love of Radha, and the luster of Radha, golden. Krishna is Sham, and Radha is golden in complexion. Nice combination, black and gold. Very beautiful. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in a golden form, in the mood of Radha, as Krishna himself, wishing, striving, hankering, eager to experience the happiness that Radha feels in her love for him, in the mood of Radha having love for Krishna. Very, very transcendental, and also a very practical arrangement. That's a long discussion. So in this abode, in Goloka, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is eternally performing his pastimes, he has eternal associates. And those eternal associates have their spiritual counterparts in Krishna's Leela, just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. And there's Lord Nityananda by the side of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in Krishna Leela, who is that? Balaram. And each of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have their spiritual counterpart in Krishna's Leela. Read Chaitanya Charitamrita, your hairs will stand on end. It's very, very wonderful. So here's one of the principal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's practically astounding how spiritually elevated the associates of Mahaprabhu were. Just one little image. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from his tour of South India and came back to Puri, a messenger was sent. 2 years he was gone. 2 years and several months. He was gone from Navadvip. The devotees in Navadvip were deeply attached to him. So a messenger was sent. Mahaprabhu has come back. Come quickly. Rath Yatra is soon to happen. So they came quickly. And when they came to Puri, what did they do? They had kirtan. And on the rooftop of the palace was the king, Prataparudra. Next to him was Gopinath Acharya, who previously lived in Navadvip, so he knew everybody, he knew the who's who. So he was pointing out to the king, this is this devotee, that's that devotee, that's the other devotee, there's Haridas, there's Advaita Acharya. And the king commented, I've seen the chanting of the holy name before, but I've never seen anything like this before. What is it? And Gopinath Acharya said, it's not just Sankirtan, it's Prema Sankirtan. The hearts of all the associates of Mahaprabhu were filled with Krishna Prema, and their kirtan was the outpouring of Krishna Prema, calling out ecstatically, jubilantly, the holy names of the Lord. All of his associates were perfected souls, not just practitioners, sadhakas, nice devotees. They were perfected souls. And amongst all those amazing perfected souls, the topmost amongst them all was this one, Rupa Goswami. And Mahaprabhu twice confirmed it, without the detail, because I want to get to the topic for this evening. And to help appreciate who he is in Krishna's Leela, I'll ask you a little quiz question. Amongst all the associates of Krishna, who are the topmost associates of Krishna? The gopis. And amongst the gopis, of course, Radharani is topmost, but she had 8 principal associates, 8 principal gopis, the Ashtasakis. Just like many of you have been to Mayapur, or if not, you'll want to go to Mayapur, and when you do, you'll see Radha Madhava, and on this side are 4, and this side there's 4 others, the 8 principal gopis, the Ashtasakis. So of those Ashtasakis, who is the topmost? Lalita. And amongst Lalita's associates, she has those that assist her in the intimate service that she does for Radha and Krishna. Topmost is Rupa Manjari. That's who Rupa Goswami is, Rupa Manjari, in Krishna's Leela, intimately assisting Lalita in making arrangements of loving exchange between Radha and Krishna. You can't get much higher than that. The servant of the servant of the servant. Gopi Bhartor Padakamayor Das Das Anudas. That's him. That's his bhava. And his service was twofold. After receiving instructions, listen to this. After receiving instructions from Lord Chaitanya told him, you will realize in full everything that I've said. And you'll compose literature that expands the meaning of everything that I've taught you. So that was one of his services, along with his elder brother, Sanatana Goswami, 2 chief amongst the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan as followers of Mahaprabhu. But Rupa was considered chief by Mahaprabhu and all the Vaishnavas. Although part of his qualification was, of course, humility. So he looked to his elder brother like his guru. So whatever he wrote, he would have his brother review it and approve it before he would circulate it to others. He took that position of subordination to his beloved brother. And they both did the same thing because they were assigned the same thing, to write books about the teachings they had heard from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the wonderful loving exchanges of Radha and Krishna included. And the second service given primarily was to establish, again, the lost places of Krishna's pastimes. Because after the passage of so many thousand years, where the pastime places were had been forgotten. So that's a pretty awesome task. But he was empowered fully to do that, and he did it, along with other associates. So these two brothers wrote commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. They wrote other books describing the science of devotion. One of these books, the BBT, published a few years back, written by Sanatana Goswami, called Brihat Bhagavatamrita, which is a very exquisite commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. It's hard to say what it isn't, but that's one of the things that it is. And Brihat means big, just like Prabhupada said. The printing press is the Brihat Mridanga. Mridanga, you can hear a block or maybe 2 blocks away, but the Brihat Mridanga you can hear all around the world. So the printing press, following his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta, called the printing press the Brihat Mridanga. So when Rupa Goswami wrote a book with the title Bhagavatamrita, he called it Laghu Bhagavatamrita. In contrast to Brihat, it's Laghu, very light. Compared to my brother Sanatana, it's very light. And the book is now published by the BBT, compliments of Gopi Pranadhana's excellent translation work and commentary. And the book, just to appreciate the depth of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami's writing, it's addressing, the entire book is addressing one of 6 questions found in chapter 1, canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam. In other words, how many volumes could somebody write? Rupa Goswami can write volumes and volumes, just one verse. That one verse, so the composition of Srimad Bhagavatam begins in the first 3 chapters. It's the sages, here they are, the sages of Naimisharanya, they had gathered knowing that Krishna has departed. Kali means Kali Yuga has begun, and Kali Yuga, they knew what that meant. Manda samanda matayo manda bhagya yupadrita. In short, bad. Very, very, very bad and getting worse and worse circumstances. We want to do something to diminish the negative influences of the age of Kali. So what they decided to do was to go to the holy place, Naimisharanya, and hold a 1,000-year yajna. As one is completed, the next one is begun, and just continue for generations to perform yajna, to counteract the negative effects of Kali. And while they were there, in their midst was Sutta Goswami, pictured in the front on the left. And they wanted to hear from him the message of Srimad Bhagavatam that Sutta Goswami had heard only recently from Shukadeva, as he spoke to Maharaj Parikshit. And in this first chapter, they raised 6 questions, the answers of which make the first 2 chapters. And question number 5 out of the 6 questions is this one. O wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations, such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal potencies, Atma Maya Ya. Same as what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. He appears in this world by his Atma Maya, his own internal potency. He doesn't need anything outside of himself to appear, stay, do what he does, and disappear. In fact, the way he disappeared was very amazing. The way Balaram disappeared was very amazing. Does anybody know how Balaram disappeared? The very, very proximate location to where Krishna disappeared. He sat by the side of the sea in meditation pose. From his mouth, a form of Ananta Shesha appeared, and he situated himself on Ananta Shesha and was taken back to the spiritual world. Haribol. Can anybody here do that? So Krishna's activities and his internal potency assisting the activities of his dear devotees, he's not drawing upon something outside of himself, it's from within himself. So the response to this question is given in a number of verses in chapter 3, because this is Canto 1, Chapter 1. Canto 1, Chapter 3 gives this answer, and it's expanded in great length in Rupa Goswami's book, Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Now, there may be some copies in the bookstore. Is there copies of this in the Govinda shop? I should have asked before I did this. If not, Krishna.com, click, and they'll give you your address, and they'll send you one. It's fascinating. There's a very nice verse amongst the Ashtakam verses describing the Goswamis of Vrindavan. Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Sadharma Samsapako. They very carefully and thoroughly studied Nana Shastra, all the revealed scriptures, for the purpose of understanding the Krishna Tattva, the truths about Krishna, and then they presented that understanding in their literatures, this being one of them. The forms of the Lord as they appear in this world. Because he created the world, but he didn't just create it whimsically and leave it alone. He entered into this world for multi-purposes, which he describes in Bhagavad Gita, why he comes. So details and details and details and details from different scriptures referencing the different categories of avatars and subcategories of those categories and the differences between this category and that category. It's very fascinating. It's just, Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshima. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Payama. And then again, and again. So by the time you're done, you're Krishnaized. You know Krishna Tattva and your thoughts are with Krishna. This is a wonderful literature that has that purpose. But what I wanted to do this evening is focus on the last chapter. Because the last chapter expresses that it's quite incomplete to just describe the truths about Krishna without describing the truths about the devotees of Krishna. So the title of the book, as you see, is Laghu Bhagavatamrita, and the final chapter is called Bhaktamrita, or the nectar of Sri Krishna's devotees. And why does he emphasize the Amrita of the Bhaktas? Well, I'll tell you why. In fact, I'll read to you, without the commentary, some of the early verses of this chapter, just to touch the topic. Text 3 of this final chapter, quoting Hari Bhakti Sudodaya. Those who worship Lord Govinda but do not worship his devotees are proud hypocrites who do not attain Lord Vishnu's mercy. A similar quote comes later from Padma Purana. The next text. My dear Devi, this is Lord Shiva speaking to Parvati. Although the Vedas recommend the worship of demigods, the worship of Lord Vishnu is topmost. However, above the worship of Lord Vishnu is rendering service to the Vaishnavas who are related to Lord Vishnu. The servant of the servant is better than to serve the master directly. Again from Padma Purana. Those who worship Lord Govinda but do not worship his devotees should not be known as devotees. They should be known only as proud hypocrites. Same idea as Hari Bhakti Sudodaya. Then this famous one that Prabhupada would quote often from Adi Purana, as in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaking to Arjuna. Adi Purana, Krishna is also speaking to Arjuna in Adi Purana, where he says, those who are my direct devotees are actually not my devotees, but those who are the devotees of my servant are factually my devotees. Translation's a little different. Those who claim to be my devotee can't be said a real devotee unless they're the devotee of the devotee. That's the devotee, as far as Krishna is concerned. And then from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Uddhava Gita, Krishna speaking to Uddhava, 11th canto. The worship of my devotees is more important than worshiping me. Pretty clear, and there's, of course, additional references. So he's like a lawyer building a case, and the case is pretty strong. There's not verses that say, you don't really need to worship the devotee, just worship Govinda. You don't find any like that. And then immediately, Rupa Goswami goes to the dear devotee of the Lord, Prahlad, where Prahlad speaks about his good fortune, and the Lord speaks about Prahlad's good fortune and how dear he is to him. Rupa Goswami says, among all the devotees of the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj is the best. His glories are described in Skanda Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, and other Vedic literatures. And to support his statement, he refers to Skanda Purana, where Lord Shiva says, a devotee is one who understands Lord Krishna in truth. I am not among them. Of course, he knows Krishna, but he's speaking that way. All Lord Krishna's devotees, amongst them Prahlad is the best, in the opinion of Lord Shiva. And then just a quick reference where Brahma's prayers, Prahlad's prayers to Lord Nrsingadev says, O my Lord, O Supreme, because I was born in a family full of hellish material qualities of passion and ignorance, what is my position? And what is to be said of your causeless mercy, which was never offered even to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, or even the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi? You never put your lotus hand upon their heads, but if you put it upon upon mine. I lost my voice last weekend, and it's been good. I haven't been using it so much in between. It's getting strained, so excuse me. in response to Prahlad's prayers, Lord Nrsingadev says, those who follow your example will naturally become my pure devotees. You are the best example of my devotee, and others should follow in your footsteps. Now, what makes a pure devotee pure, or deserve that nice adjective of being pure in devotion? Pure in devotion means there's no other shelter. There's one shelter, and there's no mix of other shelters. The shelter means a place where there's safety and protection and service and love, not just receiving, but giving. And so the perfection of Prahlad, of the 9 stages of bhakti, is, in one sense, it sounds neutral, just remembering. But Prahlad wasn't just a meditator and just remember the Lord. He did all kinds of things. He taught his friends in school the process of bhakti and the process of chanting the holy name, and basically risked his life. And even said the same thing to his father when his father was asking him, what's the best thing that you've learned in school? And he told him, I haven't learned anything good in school, but I can tell you the best thing: worship of Vishnu. So remembering the Supreme Lord is not neutral or passive. It's a state of consciousness where there's such complete absorption in the personality of Godhead that there's not any other thought but the personality of Godhead, regardless of the circumstance. How does one come to that position? One comes to that position by the merciful association of one who has that position. In the case of Prahlad, he was within the womb of his mother, Kayadu, and when Hiranyakashipu was off doing his long penance in order to achieve immortality, and so the demigods invaded the kingdom of Hiranyakashipu while he was in the forest, and they saw the pregnant wife of Hiranyakashipu, and they immediately apprehended her, thinking Hiranyakashipu Jr. is in her womb. So we're going to wait till the child is born and kill the child before he can destroy the universe like Hiranyakashipu did. Fortunately, in his uncanny way of knowing when to appear at the right place at the right time and say the right thing, Narada Muni came and said, no, within the womb of this woman is a great devotee. So entrust this great devotee and his mother to me, and I'll take care of them. And so he placed her in a safe position within his ashram, and he would regularly instruct her on the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, which she heard very happily, as well as the child within her womb. And when the child within her womb was born, he didn't forget what he heard within the womb. His mother forgot because she was very attached to Hiranyakashipu, and in the association of Hiranyakashipu, it's really easy to forget good things. She forgot. But Prahlad remembered. And when Prahlad had every opportunity, he gave instruction to his classmates in Krishna Tattva, which they'd never heard before. They didn't learn that in the school they went. And after explaining to them Krishna Tattva, he engaged them in chanting the holy names of the Lord. And when the school teachers came into the room and saw this tumultuous kirtan, they panicked. What's going to happen when Hiranyakashipu finds out about this? And when Hiranyakashipu found out about that, and the faith of Prahlad in Lord Vishnu, he then considered, you're the enemy too, as Lord Vishnu is my enemy. and you're devoted to the enemy, so you're my enemy. And he made arrangements to have his son killed. Wasn't a nice man. However, as powerful as Hiranyakashipu was, he was unable to kill him. In a pit of snakes and being tormented by his associates, and nothing happened. Then he tried having him stampeded by wild elephants, and that didn't work either. So he had him thrown off a cliff, and that didn't work either. There's a very nice commentary on this particular passage from Srimad Bhagavatam, where Lord Vishnu was waiting below, but he didn't show himself. He wanted to see, as Prahlad is falling, is he going to panic? But he didn't. He was very Krishna conscious from the top of the cliff to the middle of the cliff, and right before hitting the jagged rocks, he was in the same consciousness. So Lord Vishnu caught him. He wasn't exactly testing him, he just wanted to examine the extent of his pure devotion to Krishna. His father tried boiling him in a vat of boiling oil. That didn't work. Big fire, that didn't work. And so many efforts to kill him. Hiranyakashipu was amazed. I'm the most powerful person in the universe, but you're more powerful than me. Where do you get your power? And Prahlad's answer was, from the same place you get your power. From Vishnu. He's the source of all power. He's the powerful, the source of all power. Hiranyakashipu didn't like that answer. Where is this Vishnu? And Prahlad's answer is, he's everywhere. So was he in this pillar? There he is. He's in the pillar. So he smashed the pillar with his sword, and Lord Nrsingadev came out. And the rest of the story need not be told. Lord Nrsingadev finished Hiranyakashipu to protect Prahlad. And then Prahlad's wonderful prayers, showing that the purity of his devotion, starting with his quality of humility. But again, how did that happen? It happened through the association of another pure devotee. In this case, Narada Muni. So the Amrita of the Bhakta comes from the Amrita of another Bhakta, comes from an Amrita of another Bhakta, and ultimately comes from Bhagavat Amrita. The Amrita of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who bestows his mercy on those who are ready to receive it. He's eager to give it. We just have to say yes. I'd like some. I'd like a lot of mercy. I'm eager to receive the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And the way to receive that mercy of the Supreme Lord is through the mercy of the devotee. I want to tell a little Prabhupada story, and then I'm going to end this and show you a little video. The little Prabhupada story is just on the topic of a pure devotee, or the Amrita of a Bhakta. There's a very nice pastime, an exchange with Srila Prabhupada, where his schedule was commonly, very regulated actually, was he would have his lunch just before, he would take a bath just before noon, and at noon he would chant his Gayatri, and right after Gayatri was a hot lunch. And right after hot lunch, he would take rest for 20 minutes without an alarm clock, and was up 20 minutes later like he had an alarm clock. Very regulated. And then in the afternoon, after he rose, he would commonly either receive a guest, or if there were no guests to receive, he would answer correspondence and then spend time with the devotees in a darshan, in his room, in his quarters. So one time, this was in New York, he had a darshan, and he was having fun. So the fun that particular day was, what's the difference between you, the devotees in the room, and me? So the devotees are having a great time saying, oh, Prabhupada, this and that. And lots of appreciation, lots of laughter, lots of joy. And then it came time for the evening arti. So Prabhupada concluded the discussion by saying, the difference between you and me is you can fall down and I cannot. And everyone went, Jai Prabhupada, and off they went to the temple room to greet the deities and have the evening class. So while greeting the deities, you've seen the pose in photos. Prabhupada was standing there with his palms folded before his chest. And the devotee right next to him noticed that Prabhupada was reciting some prayers. Then he paid his obeisances and went to the ISKCON and gave class, and then went to his quarters. So the devotee that was sitting next to him, or standing next to him, while he was offering those prayers, ventured boldly to ask Prabhupada, it looked like you were saying some prayers when you were standing before the deities, Srila Prabhupada. Do you mind sharing with me what those prayers were? Prabhupada's answer was, I was praying to Krishna that I never fall down. And the devotee said, but Prabhupada, you said the difference between you and us is you'll never fall down. And we can. And then Prabhupada said, now you know why. I'm always praying to Krishna that I will never fall down. And therefore Krishna gives his protection. That's shelter. Not the only dimension of shelter, but taking shelter of Krishna in positive service, but also being protected from Maya. And the teachings of a pure devotee is that he gives that with every word, with every action, with every gesture. It's a message of full dependence upon Krishna and offering whatever it is that one has, not keeping something back, offering whatever it is that one has in service to Krishna. And that's our founder Acharya, and as a result of that Amrita of this Senapati Acharya Guru Vaishnava, we're here, making plans to have more devotees and happier devotees, expanding the Hare Krishna movement on behalf of our founder Acharya. The advocacy that I'm making here is, as your human form of life is very, very special, and the opportunity in that special human form of life to receive the association of pure devotees, again, going back to Rupa Goswami giving us the fullness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, and the other acharyas following in disciplic succession similarly doing that. Avail yourself to the songs and the teachings and the writings of these great personalities so that your path back to Godhead is wide open. Along with chanting of the holy name, striving to chant consistently and offenselessly and fully attentively with full absorption, hearing these wonderful teachings of our great acharyas so we can appreciate and move along the path of pure devotion, following in their footsteps.